Hi, my name is John, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're getting back into the top most influential horror movies of all time. This is the third segment, and I've decided that we are actually going to have 4 segments because I think by the time I was done with all the filming and all the choices I had made, there's actually more than 25 movies on the list, and I want to keep each video under a certain time frame. And I think the best way to do that is to make this a series of 4 videos. This is number 3. Welcome back. I hope you guys enjoy this list. There's another batch of real good ones here. But before I get into the list, before I start where we left off, I'd like to say please like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, all that jazz. I'm still a growing station. I appreciate your guys' participation in it and would love to have you back for future videos. With no further ado, let's get into it. Next on the list is a movie that's had probably the most love from the Academies. Released in 1991, it's directed by Jonathan Demme, stars Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, and that is Silence of the Lambs. And let me just start off by telling you all the Academies that it won and was nominated for. So it was Best Picture winner for 1992, Best Actor, and it came out in 91, but I guess the awards were in 92. Best Actor, Anthony Hopkins, 1992. Best Actress, Jodie Foster, 1992. Best Director, Jonathan Demme, 1992. Best Adapted Screenplay. Best Film Editing. Alright, so now the Best Film Editing was nominee. Best Sound Mixing also nominee. So with Silence of the Lambs, hello Clarice. This one, very influential. It kicked off the early 90s with this it basically took over the 90s as far as the leading thing that was very successful in that time frame were serial killer police horror movies or crime thrillers, whatever you want to call it. So many movies that followed in its footsteps. I'm thinking of Suspect Zero, Seven, The Usual Suspects, so many, and then of course it had its own sequels. It had Hannibal and Red Dragon. This movie, it received such love then. It's still loved to this day. It's still prevalent in this day. I've been mentioning it so much on my channel because it's relevant to movies that are being released this day. I just compared it to Longlegs from last year. Longlegs was clearly inspired by Silence of the Lambs. Even my most recent Shudder exclusive Dead Mail, I threw in a comparison to Silence of the Lambs. This movie is still very prevalent today. It hasn't had a reboot yet. It might. I feel like all these big ones, when enough time passes, somebody gets their hands on it and wants to do it. This one I think would be a challenge because I feel like the only person that can do Hannibal Lecter really well is Anthony Hopkins. And he's up there in age, so there's not much time left to get him in on a sequel or a movie. Jodie Foster also, it was her shining moment in her career to be involved with Silence of the Lambs. I grew up watching Jodie Foster in little Disney movies like Freaky Friday, and then she was in Taxi Driver, but obviously the Silence of the Lambs, and then her career even did well after that. She was in Flight Plan and other movies. Jodie Foster was in one of my favorites, Panic Room. And this is why Silence of the Lambs is worthy to be on the list of most influential movies of horror.
You see a lot, Doctor. But are you strong enough to point that high-powered perception at yourself? What about it? Why don't you look at yourself and write down what you see? Maybe you're afraid to.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. You fly back to school now, little Starling.
Next on the list is another one of my all-time favorite movies, and this one is definitely influential. Now, this could be another one that could be considered not so much in the horror genre, but it's definitely horror adjacent as far as I'm concerned, because it is a creature feature, and it does have pretty big creatures in it, and it is terrifying at parts. And that movie is directed by Steven Spielberg, released in 1993, Jurassic Park.
Dr. Grant?
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
Turn it off! I'm sorry!
This one was definitely my number one for 1993. I had anticipated that movie so much. My movie theater experience, I still remember to this day, was amazing. I just loved the original Jurassic Park. And I mean, I've probably watched it hundreds of times over the years. I watched its sequels. So Jurassic Park has its franchise. It does, you know, I love the franchise as a whole, though as I've said before, it does kind of weaken a little bit over time as each one came out. But overall, I still love them all. Even the newest ones, I love them. And we're expecting a Jurassic Park movie coming out this year. I'm a little worried about that because I haven't seen much on it. And I'm like, wow, I mean, it's only been 3 years since Dominion. So, you know, I felt like I hope this one wasn't rushed too much. Jurassic World was another one. You know, I felt like after a hiatus with the Jurassic Parks, when they came back with Jurassic World, I just thought that one was done amazingly. I really love Jurassic World. And Jurassic Park has had its influence, you know, with the stuff that it was able to do. I mean, by the time, and this movie has, you know, the right timing. It came out at a time where they were really developing special effects, and CGI was becoming more of a thing. There was so much more they can do in the movies as what they could do in the 70s and 80s. Now, as we got into the 90s, there was so much more that these movies could put on screen, and it really was a great time frame for new movies, and Jurassic Park definitely took the lead in this time frame. And besides the you know, amount of sequels, there were copycats. Like I primarily think of Godzilla 1998. You know, their thing was size does matter, and I thought, oh yeah, you're just trying to cash in on the Jurassic Park hoopla right now. And you know, I have to admit, Godzilla is one of my favorites, but everything I loved about it was everything Jurassic Park-ish about it. I mean, Steven Spielberg has now made this list 4 times. Jaws, Poltergeist, yeah, and now this one. So, I mean, he's definitely a well-known director. You know, he's been extremely influential as a director. You know, when I think about the directors that we've mentioned already, Alfred Hitchcock, John Carpenter, Steven Spielberg, I mean, these are giant names of people who really know how to make movies, and make movies that last over time and influence so many other directors, so many other genres. And I love the characters in Jurassic Park, especially the original 3 main characters, which would be Dr. Grant, Ian Malcolm, and Ellie Sattler. I mean, the dynamic of those three in all the movies that they've been in, and they did reprise together finally in Dominion, and I love that nostalgic feeling that that gave me, even though Dominion was kind of an up and down movie. I just, those characters, especially Jeff Goldblum, I mean, his character is just so, you just want to watch him talk and roast everyone in the movie and roast John Hammond and just be like, you know, I saw this coming, like, what are you people thinking? And I do include it as a creature feature, and it is horror adjacent for me because of, I mean, I feel like the Velociraptors, they're horrifying. You know, that scene in the original Jurassic Park where the two little kids are escaped into the kitchen and they're alone. They've been separated from the adults, and the Velociraptors find them. I mean, just genuine horror in that scene. Scary. I was holding on to my fist, my eyes. You know, even in the Tyrannosaurus scene, when the Tyrannosaurus breaks out of the cage and breaks down into the SUV and the glass comes down, and the only thing between them is this little flimsy piece of glass and the Tyrannosaur. I mean, that was terrifying. Terrifying. So, I mean, this definitely warrants a spot on the list in this category, and it definitely warrants a spot for being influential as well, extremely influential over the years. Okay, this one also won Academy Awards for Best Visual Effects, Best Sound Mixing, Best Sound, and well deserved. Jurassic Park is still being inspired in films today. I had just mentioned in my Death of a Unicorn video that, you know, it was like an acid trip for Jurassic Park viewers with these unicorns just being dinosaur-ish in that movie, and there was just so many little nods to Jurassic Park in that one. I love Death of a Unicorn, but you know, even in the original Jurassic Park, I mean, it's definitely up there in my top 10 of all movies. I can't even find a flaw with Jurassic Park, the original, really. I mean, I just think it's a great movie from start to finish. Next on the list, what's your favorite scary movie? Could it be Scream?
Some kind of joke?
More of a game, really. Can you handle that? Blondie.
Listen, I am 2 seconds away from calling the police.
They'd never make it in time. We're out in the middle of nowhere.
What do you want?
To see what your insides look like.
Who's there? Who's there? I'm calling the police.
You should never say who's there. Don't you watch scary movies? It's a death wish. You might as well just come out here to investigate a strange noise or something.
Scream was released in 1996, directed by Wes Craven. It is starring Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox. And this one, I mean, what can I say about this one? This one took a genre that was already so grand and so great, that started with pretty much Psycho and Halloween. But it takes everything about what we loved about these slashers and what we grew up with and flips it on its side, subverts expectations, and approaches it in a new, fun, meta way. And I can tell you, now that since I just talked about Jurassic Park, saw that one in the theater, I can tell you I definitely remember my 1996 experience in the movie theater, sold out, Scream, jam-packed theater. Everyone just loved this one. I mean, it was highly anticipated. I went with like 12 people. I mean, this movie was fantastic in its time. Also extremely influential in what it's done because it created its own subgenre. And it really is this new meta way of horror movies that have come out since. So Scream obviously has had, it's a franchise. It's working on number 7. Number 7 is coming out next year. And only 7 in I guess 30 years. That's not that many considering Friday the 13th had like 13 in like 14 years. But Scream has had so many copycats. I mean, it was followed right up with a copycat. I Know What You Did Last Summer was out, I mean, 6 months later. I mean, there was, you know, and then older movies like Halloween started following Scream's footsteps. So like Halloween decided to make H2O in the wake of Scream, and it was definitely influenced by Scream. It even used Scream's music. And I loved Halloween H2O. I loved H2O with Jamie Lee Curtis and Josh Hartnett. It was sadly the first one without Donald Pleasance because he had passed away. But so many, I mean, the list of movies that have mimicked Scream up until even just this year. In my Hard Eyes review, I said that there was, you know, so many Scream elements to it. It's always that the way they do killer reveals now in all these horror movies. I just mentioned it in Hell of Summer. The killer reveal was Scream-ish. Same with Hard Eyes. Same with Founders Day. There's just so many, and these are all very recent movies. Thanksgiving, only 2 years old. I feel like nowadays people want to pull from either Scream, Friday the 13th, and Halloween, or kind of blend those three together. I feel like Scream just ups the quality of what we were getting with certain slashers because they started to get redundant. And I mean, Scream is becoming redundant as well, I guess. But I mean, it's a successful thing, and that's why they keep doing it. That's why they keep making it. It makes money. People like it. You know, people, I mean, there's so much discussion about Scream 7 that's coming out. I mean, I've been hearing about Scream 7 so much since November, especially since the departure of Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera. It's like Scream, 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 Scream. And I love Scream, and I just want to see the movie, so I'm not worried about kind of what the background stuff, the behind the scenes stuff. That's fine. I can watch that in a documentary later. Another thing Scream did tremendously was its opening scene. How iconic. This scene I could watch over and over again. I really love how much effort and how great it was, and
I don't think so.
the great atmosphere and tension that they developed
Popcorn.
right out the gate. And this is another thing that has been mimicked by so many other movies with strong openers.
Scary movie.
You like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters.
So when I think about what made Scream so successful, I mean, if Halloween was the ultimate slasher basically for boomers, Scream was the slasher for Gen X. And Scream basically just took Halloween and upgraded it to that time frame. And it was neat. It was a neat idea. It made it fresh. It made it fun. It brought slashers back because I would say once Silence of the Lambs came out, slashers were kind of dying. And we were in that whole serial killer phase until Scream popped back in. And then Scream really dragged the slasher out of the grave and brought it back.
Are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex. Big no-no! Big no!
I'm a dead man.
Even in pop culture, sex equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
You see, you push the laws and you end up dead. Okay, I'll see.
Next batch of movies that we're going to mention is definitely going to be in a group. This is kind of like the Stephen King one, where it's kind of a group of movies or an influential director. And I'm going to start with his first movie, which was released in July of 1999. I saw it in the theater myself. Had the greatest movie experience with this one, because this one is The Sixth Sense, starring Bruce Willis and directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
You know the accident up there?
Yeah.
Someone got hurt.
They did?
A lady. She broke her neck.
Oh my God, but you can see her?
Yes.
Where is she?
Standing next to my window.
This movie was tremendous. I mean, The Sixth Sense is definitely one of my favorites. It's definitely probably up there for my favorite is from the year it was released, which was 1999. And it's the whole movie itself, the ghost aspect, the supernatural aspect, the thriller aspect of it, the drama that's in it, but obviously the plot twist ending. And obviously with M. Night, this is the movie, this is the one, this is the big one for him, and it was one of his firsts that totally blew everyone away in the theaters. I mean, when Bruce Willis, I mean, it's been 26 years, so I can spoil this one now. When Bruce Willis realizes that he's been dead the whole time, and you realize with him that he's been dead the whole time since the first scene, that first scene was him dying and not living, it totally gives you a whole new, and then the rewatchability on this one because of that. I mean, we were just talking about this in my most surprising. Yeah, definitely would have been my most surprising movie of 1999, but I was comparing it to Strange Darlings, the plot twist in Strange Darlings, and the rewatchability factor of Strange Darlings along with The Sixth Sense. So, I mean, The Sixth Sense by itself may not be influential completely, but I feel like M. Night and his movies to follow definitely became influential. I mean, so he and there's 3 of them. So the other 2, Signs from 2002 and Unbreakable from 2000. Both of those, and then I mean, M. Night's had some winners afterwards, some losers, some stinkers, but Unbreakable and Signs also were ones where there are like plot twists in the end. Nothing like The Sixth Sense. So with Unbreakable, and Unbreakable was one of those borderline movies where I don't feel like Unbreakable's even in the horror category for sure. It's more of this Bruce Willis again, super horror, Superman, but in a like completely dramatized version about this young man who survives a train crash and then comes to find out that he is deep down inside, that he has the power of a superhero, that he is basically Superman and can do lots of great things with his powers. So it really was, I mean, it wasn't like a Marvel movie. or anything like that, or a superhero movie, but he was a superhero. And you know, Unbreakable had sequels, which was Glass and Split, and then Signs was another one by M. Night, and then that one had Mel Gibson, another fan favorite. You know, I think with that one they did a good job in the marketing. They really marketed it as a supernatural one, and you were sitting there thinking that Mel Gibson was being plagued by ghosts, haunted house. And another spoiler, and this one's also almost 20 years old, so I will spoil it, but if you haven't seen it. But surprise, there wasn't ghosts in this one. It was aliens. It was aliens, and they really did a good job of hiding the whole idea that it was aliens in it. And until there's this one scene where Joaquin Phoenix is watching a news thing, and I love this scene. He's watching a news thing, and they show this clip of a young kid's birthday party, and it's in Spanish, so it must be somewhere in Spain, maybe Mexico or something. But all of a sudden there's this quick shot of something flying by in the background, and then they play it again, and it's in slow motion, and it's an alien. And I'm like, what? Aliens? How did I not know it was aliens? I was like this time frame, I feel like I kept getting bamboozled by movies. I didn't know Bruce Willis was dead. I didn't know Blair Witch was fake. You know, I didn't know Signs had aliens.
Move, children. Vámonos. Oh!
And I loved it. I loved that all these things surprised me in the movies. Please, I'd rather have gone in blind and not knowing and having no surprises. Yeah, I mean, Signs was definitely my favorite movie from 2002. And with those early on movies of M. Night, it just put him right up there with great directors. You know, and M. Night, like I said, has had his ups and downs. You know, Trap last year was, you know, decent, but a letdown in some areas. And, you know, I'm hoping he's working on something new. I'm hoping that maybe he can go back to his old form a little bit. And maybe, I don't know, but maybe not. I don't know. I think what kills it for him is that everyone's always expecting this grand plot twist. And then sometimes we don't get The Sixth Sense. We don't get Unbreakable. We don't get Signs. And it's like, oh, another letdown by M. Night. But you know what? M. Night has definitely earned his way to be on the list with all these other directors and all these other movies. You know, and his movies have influenced, you know, they've been mimicked. When I think of Scary Movie, when they were making fun of, when, you know, Marlon Wayans was making fun of The Sixth Sense. You know, even in funny ways it was getting mimicked. But, you know, many movies have tried to try the M. Night thing, and many people have made movies. Like even last year there was Caddo Lake that was produced by M. Night but had an M. Night feel to it, and that movie was in my top 10. So M. Night made it into the top 10 last year. So he's still prevalent. All right, next movie on the list. This is another one I feel has become very influential. And I'm going to group this next batch of 2 movies as together because I feel like one of them really kicked it off, but the second one kind of boosted it sometime later actually. but then really put this genre into full speed ahead. And the first movie of these two was released in 1999, and that is called The Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project was directed by Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick. It was starring Heather
I can
Donahue.
see you.
I'm real excited about this. Thank you for
I'm
the
very
opportunity.
glad.
This area's been haunted.
This is a found footage movie that tells the tale of three students, Heather, Josh, and Michael, who travel to a small town collecting documentary footage about the Blair Witch. Over the course of several days, the students interview people, but then make their way into the woods.
We're here now.
Lost,
Hungry.
not being able to find their way out, and as each night passes, the terror and horror of hearing the noises and feeling like they're being tracked down by the Blair Witch.
Tell me where you are, John!
Okay, so this movie at the time, another one that at this time I was working in the movie theaters, and I knew all about this one. And here it comes, but see, the thing is the marketing that they did on this. They tricked us. They literally put it out there. There was web, so the internet was fairly new at the time, so it wasn't like what it is now. I mean, it would be so easy to debunk the Blair Witch today. But then, everything was so fresh with the internet, and you could find information on the internet, but it wasn't like it is now. So like, they literally said that this was based on real found footage, and they packaged it up in a way where it was, you believed that it was found footage. Now, I was hesitant because I thought, they really found this type of footage and this horrific stuff happened to these people in the video, and I'm like, would they really release it in the theaters like this? But I thought maybe they would, because it was scary and they wanted to put something scary out there. And I kind of went in with an open mind, and as I went in watching it, and I was watching the way it was filmed, and I'm like, it's very scattered. It was with little handheld cameras, and it's the three kids that they're the only ones filming, and I'm like, this is like a home video. And I'm like, so to that just added to the realness of it. And I literally was sitting through this film thinking, oh my God, this is real. This really happened to these kids. And I just kept thinking, that poor girl's mother. And I literally, even when it ended, I literally left the theater thinking, oh my God, what the hell ever happened to them? And it wasn't long. I realized it was fake. It was less than a day where someone finally leaked it somewhere where I worked, and I was like, yeah, I knew it. Okay, it was fake, but it got me. And that found footage thing, I mean, it was hard to watch because sometimes, so found footage is not my favorite. When done right, I loved it. So like last year, Late Night with the Devil was a found footage that I loved because of the format it was done in. When these found footages have the whole shaky cam thing going on, it's hard to stick with it. It's hard to stay focused. But this one scared me. And then this created the genre. I mean, there had been found footages before, and it had been years and years since the found footage had been out, but like, at that time, people thought this was real. A lot of people fell for this. A lot of people fell for this marketing because they had little websites out of like facts and little mystery things and little things. I never got into the websites, but people were going onto the websites and they were investigating, the true story behind the Blair Witch and the true story behind the kids that got lost. And I was like, so a whole generation of people fell for this. And all right, so you have the found footage thing. So what boosted it? What movie am I going to say was the next that boosted it? And that it took some years, and I would say flash forward to 2007 and Paranormal Activity. So Paranormal Activity was another, and there was found footages that came in between Paranormal and Blair, but Paranormal Activity definitely was the next biggest successful one, and I feel like Blair Witch had started it, but Paranormal Activity boosted it into high gear. And it was directed by Oren Peli. It's starring Katie Featherston and Mika Sloat. And the basic premise is soon after moving into a suburban tract home, Katie and Mika become increasingly disturbed by what appears to be a supernatural presence. Hoping to capture the evidence of its film, they set up video cameras in their house, but are not prepared for the terrifying events that would follow. And Paranormal Activity, I like it, but I feel like that one, I mean, both of these franchises have had an onslaught of sequels, reboots. Blair had a reboot. No, did Blair have a reboot? No, they're all sequels. So they both had sequels. Paranormal had a ton of sequels, and the sequels started to get a little ridiculous. Though, however, I was really psyched as some of the sequels came through. And I'm sure, I think actually Blair Witch is in the works again. Maybe that reboot is coming. And then Paranormal will probably have another one at some point. But these found footages, I mean, they can be very scary when they're done right. And I felt like Paranormal did it really well, the original one, because it really was just a security camera in their house. So for me, that one was a little bit boring because the in-between scenes were kind of so random. Similar to the Blair Witch, but it was just random conversation, dialogue. You know, it's like they were trying not to act because they wanted it to seem like not acting. They wanted it to seem real. And I think in both movies they did a pretty good job of it seeming real. Obviously Blair Witch bamboozled a lot more people. Paranormal Activity was... But I would say those two films together, of all of the found footages, are the most influential in that subgenre, created a lot of the tropes that are common in that subgenre. So they are both deserve to be mentioned for influential movies in the horror category. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. I appreciate you guys staying till the end. Just to give you a quick update, I am looking forward to Clown in a Cornfield coming out at the end of this week. Final Destination is also coming in very soon. Super anticipated about that one. And I just wanted to put out there that I'm probably going to do a Final Destination breakdown of the entire franchise and maybe a ranking as well once I've seen Part 6 Bloodlines. If that's something you'd like, please come back. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again. We'll see you for Part 4, the final chapter, in about a week.